Red Lobster biscuits, National Biscuit Day, 29th of May. How you make them a little bit better? You throw butter poached lobster in them. Why not? So one of my favorite biscuits growing up was a Red Lobster biscuit, nice and piping hot right out of the oven. My gosh, that was so good. But me getting older, I kind of want to make things a little bit crazier. So whenever I get imaginative, I say, let's put it all together. So butter poached lobster, we're gonna mix in a little bit of tarragon, we're gonna mix in a little bit of citrus, just follow me for the ride. So the first part of the process is poaching that lobster. Pretty much submerge it in butter. If at home all you have is a pot and a whole bunch of butter, basically get a small one and make sure that it covers the whole thing right to the top. You're gonna use a lot of butter in the process, but let me tell you, it's gonna be so worth it because it's so decadent and delicious when all said and done. Your neighbor's gonna be jealous. What I'm gonna do here, because I have it available to me, is I'm gonna use an immersion circulator, which is also known as a sous vide machine. You use about half the butter and it comes out just as good. You know the lobster tail's ready to go when it's defrosted, and when it's defrosted, you know that by taking the tip of the tail and seeing if you could actually touch the front. Once it bends like that, you're in good shape. All right, so you're gonna wanna get your thumbs in there and kind of get it like really close to the flesh. So you can literally like take one thumb and peel it right away from the shell. And you can do that one side at a time. Once you got all of this delicious meat out of the shells, time to get it into the bags. Time to introduce all those delicious flavors that we're gonna be cooking for about an hour straight. So when you're playing with this sous vide thing, you're gonna wanna go 140 degrees. I'm gonna do it for 1 hour with this beautiful packet. I'm gonna throw 2 pieces of garlic in there, throw like 3 sprigs of this tarragon in there. I'm gonna salt it a little bit, and you're gonna wanna go a half stick of butter. If you do a little bit more, no big deal. If you're sous videing something, there's a couple different ways to close the bags. I got ones that kind of are treated like Ziploc bags, so you make sure that they're like closed up top. They're like super heavy duty, and the plastic isn't bad for you if you heat it up. That's always pretty important to know if you're gonna do this for the long haul. If you're gonna do it literally like a one-time thing for the year, you could use a sandwich bag, no big deal. But it's got this little air vent on the side, so basically you need some kind of vacuum system. So I got this, I put it right here where it says air valve, and then suck all that air out. And now you have this beautifully packed deliciousness. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put this right here inside that water bath. I'm just gonna set it in there. I got my timer set for 1 hour, set it and forget it type thing. Love this thing. While the lobster is butter poaching, you're gonna be setting up the biscuits. Now the biscuits, pretty easy when all said and done. 3/4 cup cold water. You're gonna do a 1/2 cup shredded sharp cheddar cheese, and then a pouch of the Cheddar Bay biscuit mix. Mix it all together, and you're gonna wanna separate it into 8 to 10 portions. I ended up separating it into 7, but they're big boys and they gotta be able to accommodate all that lobster that I have. We're gonna toss that in an oven at 425 for 16 minutes. Now while that's happening, we can prepare all the other stuff. When you get your biscuits out of the oven, time to glaze them. There's a garlic butter that goes on top of those that's gonna make it just perfect. Get yourself a nice little brush them on one side, flip them, brush them on the other side, and then they're ready for the lobster. I'll walk you through that in a second. All right, so once you pull this lobster out of the bag, you're gonna dice it up. Dice it up finely enough to the point where you could basically stack it on top of this delicious biscuit that just came out of the oven. What I'm also gonna do, a little bit of mayonnaise, I'm gonna throw on some chives, a touch of shallots, a little bit more of that butter, because why not? We have our biscuits ready to go. Came out of the oven, I made my lobster mix, I stuffed it on the inside as high as it could go. The younger version of myself would be so appreciative that I would have thought of something so crazy. Well, let's jump on in. Oh boy. Oh man. I don't know what I think of these things. Man, I ladled a little bit of that butter that was in that liquid back inside of this mix. A little bit of the mayonnaise adds a beautiful richness. I actually added a little bit more tarragon afterward too. Really brings the flavor home. I got so excited about this, I totally forgot about the parsley, but really who cares at this point? There's so much lobster in every single bite. That garlic from the outside of the biscuit totally helps out. You know what goes great with this? Champagne, bubbles. I don't have any. Why don't I have any? Because we left it in the freezer a little too long. And if you've ever played that game, when you pop it, it comes out like a slushie, which is kind of fun. Nonetheless, I'm gonna enjoy that, but it needs to defrost a little bit. I need some alone time. The kid version of me would have thanked the grown-up version of me. These wonderful biscuits, with all this delicious stuff that I wouldn't have tried when I was that young, well done, future me. Well done. I'm gonna enjoy this. Love you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. You keep watching, because I'm gonna keep hunting, and I'll see you soon, all right?